welcome. And welcome back to some of our folks who haven't been here for a long time and are in town temporarily. Wendy, John and Catalina, Don and Cheryl back. I see a long time, my friend Lars. Hi there. And so, I just want to say that we light this Christ candle at the beginning of our experience together every week. We could, ring those little Buddhist bells. We could sound a gong. We could chant an om. But in this latest season, months and years of our spiritual journey together, we've been lighting a candle to represent the energy of the light of Spirit, the light of Christ. And so I invite you to let this moment be the moment when you set the intention and make a promise to yourself to be the light of the world, for that is what you truly are. So, a season of growth. I'm going to talk to you today about two kinds of seasons of growth: your personal growth and the growth of this unity work. First, your personal season of growth. Have you noticed that the holiday season puts us into a mode where we have to reach into ourselves and find new strengths we didn't know we had? That's kind of what's special about every Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, those three holidays strung together, and there's so much to accomplish and so many things you want to express that you find yourself caught up in a sea of intentions, and you have to find strength in yourself to accomplish this. Now, here's a great example: our community meal on Thursday. We had such a good time, at least I did. We had 11 people to feed. Okay, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm not an entertainer. I don't cook meals for large people. In the past, I never have. When holidays came, I'd grab up the children, get my parents, and we'd go out to a restaurant. That's it. Yeah. So now, Catherine McLeod gave me a turkey, and I was led by Spirit. It was just, just say, anybody who doesn't have any people to eat with, come here and eat with us. I put in the turkey too late. I don't know why, because I'm not familiar with putting turkeys in ovens, and I just kept putting it off. And finally, James took over and got it in the oven and got it to cook. But it was ready about 2 hours after everything else was ready. But they say that, potatoes and Brussels sprouts make a balanced meal, a starch and a non-starchy vegetable, We had plenty of butter for everything, and salt and pepper, and it was delicious. The potatoes, red potatoes were great. In fact, they were so good that Morty and Nancy were here. Everybody remember Morty and Nancy? They're from Grand Rapids, the first people I ever met when I came to Western Michigan. He took all the potatoes with him. He put all the leftover potatoes in a big bowl and made off with it. We had no leftover potatoes. And my friend Nathan Smith, who I met at the Coptic Center, the young man who went with me to Maryland and did all the heavy lifting to bring my stuff back here, he was cutting celery and onion all morning. You can still smell the onion, I think, when you come in the building, can you? And I mean, there was a pot, this big round pot, this deep, with chopped onion and celery. With just a little bit of dressing you add in, and it's kind of a vegetable. So we had plenty of that. And then at the end, when we were finished eating, I regaled them with my games. We played 4 games, and it was pretty fun. And we wrote. One of the games was called Big Fat Lie, and you write on a piece of paper a lie, and then you draw out the papers and try to guess who wrote the lie. That's for people who aren't quite ready to tell the truth about themselves. Then the next round was to write a true thing about yourself and see if we could guess who wrote the true things. And then we played Guess the Leader. You know how that goes? That's kind of a version of Simon Says, only nobody is eliminated and nobody loses. It just rotates the winner. And then we played In the Manner of the Adverb, my favorite game. How many of you played that with me? No. And we acted out. What was one of the adverb we acted out? Do you remember? Huh? Yeah, humorously. So we had to do things humorously. Well, that was fun. And then everybody pretty much went home, except we had DIY movie night. I have written a movie script. It's called The Love of Jewels or Dance Until Tomorrow. And so we had 4 people who were willing to stay and read the script in my office. And so we just pretended like we were watching a movie and made it ourselves. That didn't last too long because it's a pretty short script. And we were all home by 10 o'clock. So I'm just saying, reached into ourselves, all of us, I think, and got together and had a lovely time together. And even Vina sent me an email that said, thank you for a lovely holiday. Bless her heart. So, but now, right now here in our lives, we're at the perfect moment to be poised, to point ourselves in a growth direction for this holiday season. To select something, a growth point for ourselves that we want to commit ourselves to. So maybe it's being more organized. Maybe it's not being triggered by the things people say to us, improving our communication skills. Maybe it's just being more loving. Maybe it's being more discerning, seeing into people's hearts. Any kind of area that you cherish, that you want to be more masterful, that you want to expand in your skill, that's something that you can right now set as your season of growth for this challenging period that's ahead of us. So I would like my helpers to pass out those little pieces of paper. I want everybody to get a little square piece of paper. We have one person for each section to give you one of them little pieces of paper. Now reflect on this. Reflect on your growth point. Make this a season of growth with a specific virtue or value in mind. Let me read you some of the ones I thought of. More disciplined spending, more conscientious food choices. See, and nothing negative, nothing critical or judgmental. Just a positive intention and that you want to go in. Now, before you write anything, here's what I would like you to do. Fold the paper in half and write whatever it is your growth intention. This is like planting a seed, you see, in your subconscious mind. There's so many parables that Jesus gave us that are talking about planting seeds, which means when you plant an idea in the rich soil of your own subconscious, it comes to fruition. That's what we're doing. But I want you to write it twice on the piece of paper, the same thing, and tear it in half. And you keep half, wherever you want to keep it, in your pocket, in your purse, in your wallet. I'm not going to say in your bra, but in somewhere you want to keep it. And then put another copy in this little bowl we're going to pass around in a minute. I would like to collect and have just one little note from everybody on a half paper that I can use then to create a display of all the gifts we're giving ourselves. Wouldn't that be nice? To see the things we're giving ourselves for this holiday season, while you keep your own personal growth gift that you're giving yourself, keep it with you through the holidays. And just hear your favorite holiday music playing in your head while you do this. Carol of the Bells. Have you realized or noticed the power of when you write something down? Like if you get up in the morning and you think, oh, I've got a lot to do today, I've got to do this, that, and this, and that, and that. But if you actually write it down on a list, it seems to be manifesting it. The universe helps you to manifest it. Writing things down is a very good act to take. So now let me have the final basket. I want to bless it. Anybody have one left to give us? We got everybody's? Here. Now, activate your palm chakras. Here. Bring it right here. It's like an offering basket. It's like these are our gifts to the world and to ourselves. Everybody point their energy to this here. Yeah, right here. Good. Okay. So we consecrate and dedicate these intentions to the will and the work of the Christ Spirit expressing everywhere in this coming season of spiritual expansion and growth. May the church say amen. Thank you. All right. Now for our church growth. Now how many of you have seen the catalog that I put out in the breezeway? You don't need to have it right now. You don't even need to refer to it at this point, because what I've done is I have printed up what's called a registration record. And it has all of the events for January on one side and the events for February on the other side. And so here's what I've been thinking. Many churches are closing. We had a guest in our church a couple months ago who said, gee, this is a lovely building. In our church, we haven't seen a new face walk in the door for 10 years. We've had a lot of new faces come in here. We have a lot to offer here. But we have to recognize that the lifestyle of going to church is fading out of our culture. And now, I'm not going to stop having church services. This is our moment together. This is marvelous. This is great. But we're expanding our activities. So there's 3 events we're going to have each month. A workshop. Now, a workshop is something that you learn to do. It's a skill. That's why you're working it. You're performing it. A workshop is something where you actually make a skill become part of your behavior skill set. And that's going to be on Sundays from 1 to 4. And the first workshop in January is the 6th from 1 to 4. And it's about compassionate communication, which is what they are now calling the work of Marshall Rosenberg, nonviolent communication. And there's a lot to be done to polish off your ability to communicate and hear without being triggered, without attaching a little stinger at the end with a judgment and a consequence. And you don't need to look at this catalog in order to find out what we're talking about, because it's described right here. So I'm going to pass these out so you can see what I'm talking about. So compassionate communication says, our lives are determined by our ability to communicate. Okay, good. She's going to pass them up. Our lives are determined by our ability to communicate. Make a date with yourself to advance in your capacity to be in communication without the subtle manipulations we usually tack on. Now, also in the month of January is a seminar. Now, a seminar is extending your knowledge. It's not necessarily a skill. It's your knowledge. How does that help you? It expands your ability to have internal dialogue with yourself. So the seminar is always on Saturday. It's 3 to 8 with dinner at 6. That's a community meal. We don't provide it, but we'll just work it out. People will bring stuff. And this is developed by something called the Integral Institute. Is anybody familiar with that? They talk about that in Unity Magazine. In ministerial school, we read Ken Wilber's book called No Boundary, in which he talks about the mystical experience puts you in a state of consciousness where there's no boundary between you and the rest of all that is. That's the mystical experience. Well, if you take that and apply it to the evolution of humankind through history, you see how human beings are adapting to their survival needs and still waking up. So there's a whole book about this, and it is quite a sophisticated work. And it takes a while to explain it and get familiar with it, because it starts at the very dawn of human evolution and explains how society reflected the needs of survival by sacrificing the needs of the individual for the needs of collective. That was the purple era, which grew into the blue era. You know, they have colors and everything. So it's an interesting study. Then the master class, which is on Monday evenings, 6 to 9, because people work on weekdays, come to dinner. And master class means it's an area of knowledge that's very advanced for your development. And this is what I taught actually to the kids' master class: 4 antidotes to separation consciousness. Unity teachings give us the key to avoid some of the major pitfalls of life. Wouldn't that be nice? Knowing these antidotes can move us farther along in spiritual mastery. So now you see at the bottom, I'm asking you to commit. My choice to write down, not today, you don't have to turn them back today, which of the events you want to go to. Maybe all of them, I don't know, but at least pick one. And then to recruit someone you know to come, because this is not proselytizing. We're not asking them to accept our religion. We're asking them to benefit from the educational and developmental opportunities we're offering. So my friend Barbara's choice is, did you fill that in? That you tell your friend that you want them to recruit a friend, because we're trying to grow this church here. We don't want to just stand here and do nothing and see the attendance diminish, the income diminish, and finally we sell the building and take our paper dolls and go home. You know, we have a choice here. We either have to be proactive and decide we're going to grow, or we just stand still and do nothing. And in order to grow, you have to have people. So are you willing to ask a friend to consider one of these events, and to ask your friend to ask a friend? Are you willing to do that? I'm willing to. And this is not, you know, as I say, you're not selling anything. You're not asking them to be under your power. But you're offering an opportunity for learning and growth. Now, here's the same thing on the other side. In February, these are the first 2 months. So the workshop, which is on Sundays after the service from 1 to 4, it's a skill that you learn to do. It's interactive, because you've already been to a service and sat through passive being talked to, see. So the Sunday afternoon events are workshops. And who remembers the line, where the line "I see you" comes from? I see you. It comes from the movie Avatar, yeah. So the richest opportunity we have is to truly see one another. It only takes the intention, the time, and the choice. Spend a few hours experiencing this daring and bold approach to being human. If you remember the experience we had with Paul Kellogg when he had us downstairs in little circles, telling each other about ourselves, and how emotionally opening up that was, this is going to be that similar to that kind of experience. And then the seminars on Saturday with dinner, a long time, because it's extending your knowledge about unfamiliar territory, will be heart math in February. How many of you are familiar with the heart math research? It's always there in Unity Magazine being talked about. When we went to the Unity Ministers Conference, there was a researcher from Heart Math doing a day-long presentation. And the point of it all is that you have a capacity in the consciousness that's centered in your heart that you have to learn how to use. It's very powerful. Our society doesn't really bring that forth much. And then the master class for February On Monday night from 6 to 9 with dinner, it starts with dinner, The Road to Cosmic Consciousness. Remember me talking about William Morris Buck's book, Cosmic Consciousness? We have a copy of it here in the church. And it's available everywhere. It's demand for it has brought it back into print in a paperback version. A major work for metaphysicians. Richard Morris Buck's Cosmic Consciousness paves the way. He said back in the 1900s that there was a new level of consciousness appearing, and it was going to be, everyone was eventually going to experience it, but early pilgrims, its early appearance was becoming evident, and he described different people throughout history that he thought showed the evidence of having had the cosmic consciousness experience, and one of them, of course, is Jesus. So we will also reference the consciousness stages described in Ken Wilber's book, No Boundary. So you see, we talk a lot about consciousness. So for February, before you give this back to me to put in a folder for all of the congregants, you choose one of the events and recruit a friend to choose one of these events and ask them to have a friend. Now, you don't have to come with your friend to the same events. They can choose freely whatever event they want. There's just one piece of information on these forms that's missing. Your name. I forgot to put a spot for your name. So be sure to put your name on your registration record. Does anybody need another copy? Everybody have one? Here. So, just like I had the vision, I held the space for us to break $500 in our love offering dinner last Sunday, I invite you to hold the space that by this time next year, we can have doubled our congregation size. We can have doubled our income. Would that be great? That would be absolutely great. And how is that going to happen? You and I need to share this journey that we're on together, this opportunity to have a life that is fulfilling, that is magical, that is transcendent, that is deep. Like Daniel Nahmod's song, "Get ready, my soul, I'm diving in to the sweetest kind of life, to the deepest kind of love. Get ready, my soul." Let's do this. Let's do this, because it's a season of growth that we can bring forth for this, our beloved unity work. So hold this in your heart as the vision that you see for our spiritual family on a journey of love. We have a tremendous opening for a deeply satisfying life experience. So be in action for this to happen. God bless us. Amen. So let us now turn within and relax, become centered and aware of that light shining within us. No matter how dark and dreary the weather becomes, that inner light is always quickening us, guiding us, uplifting us, and healing us. And so as we take some deep breaths, allow our bodies to be comfortable and relaxed. Allow our hearts to feel the harmony of divine love. Allow our minds to feel the quickening of infinite mind. Allow our bodies to feel the comfort and peace of divine life. Our statement for today is, God's love guides my every thought, word and deed. So let's vocalize this together heartily. Together, God's love guides my every thought, word, and deed. And silently say that in your heart. For it is in the heart that seeds take root and dwell permanently. God's love guiding our every thought, word, and deed propels us to a new level. And in this awareness, we now rest and wait and feel that presence in the silence. And we do cherish the presence of God, the good, omnipotent, the one presence, the one power. Thank you, God. Amen.